On the face of it, the concatenatex function looks like a standard DAX function. I mean, the name says it, concatenate. So it would just concatenate two values. But the concatenatex function can do a lot more than that. It can help you debug calculations, and it can help you build pretty sick concatenated calculations. And that's the example that we are here to take a look at today. You're going to have a lot of fun. All right, fellas, welcome to my Power BI. I am working with this simple model right here. I have the sales table connected with my products table and the calendar table, and this is a standard one-to-many relationship. And I have also built a very simple pivot table right here, which is where we have the year and the quarter coming obviously from the calendar table, the total sales calculation, standard stuff, and the max product sales. That means that it shows you that in 2011 and in quarter one, if the total sales was $3,400, what was the sales of one best selling product, and that is $629. Now, if I just show you that max product sales, which you might be interested to take a look at, where are you? Just open up. All right. So that's how the calculation looks like. We have max X, and we're just going up in the products table, product code column, and then eventually calculating total sales, and then just finding the max of that, and that is this particular calculation. Now, once somebody takes a look at this visual, the obvious question is that, hey, if the total sales was $3,400 and one product got you $629, what was that product? Now, how do we do that? Now, at this moment, when I ask you the question, what is the product? I'm trying to retrieve the answer, which is a name of the product. Obviously, any calculation which is a sum, a max, a min, and an average would not work because they are numeric calculations. They would give you a numeric answer. However, what I'm trying to get here is the name of the product, which is not a numeric answer, which is a text-based answer. Right? So how do we build that kind of calculation? And that is going to be through obviously concatenatex. Let's just lay our foot and start writing our measure. And I'm going to call this as top product. And I am going to go ahead and say something like this. Hey, I am trying to do a concatenatex. And the first part of the concatenatex function is nothing but a table. Let me just open up the IntelliSense. The first part of the concatenatex is nothing but a table. That in which table do you want to do your concatenatex? It's like an X function goes in every single row of the table, and in that row of the table you can concatenate anything. So which table do you want to step inside, and then what is the calculation that you want to do? And this particular calculation is going to be concatenated. Now, I don't really want to concatenate the names of all the products. I want to concatenate the name of one best selling product. So first of all, even before I start writing concatenatex, I need to be able to find a table that gives me the name of not all the products, but one product. Let's just see how can we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and declare a variable. I'm going to call this as top table, and I'm going to go and start working with a function called top n. Now the top n function, I'm going to say that, hey, I just want one value, and that one value is going to be taken out from the products table, and the basis on which the top one value is going to be calculated is going to be nothing but my total sales calculation. I'm going to close the bracket, and this is going to return a table, at the moment. So what I'm going to say is that in this table, I want to concatenate. So I can just write concat, and I can say something like concatenatex. Please step inside this one row table that I have created. So Control C and Control V on that. And in this particular table, please concatenate the name of the product. Close the bracket and press enter. And obviously I forgot to write the return statement. So return, and I'm going to return the concat right here. Press enter, and this is good to go. Now, if I happen to drag this calculation to my visual, you're going to see that I get the name of the product. In this particular quarter, the total sales was 3403. And one product gets $629, and the name of that product is Cash Flow Modeling Course. Now, how do I know that is right? So what we can do is build a simple test right here. So what I can do is I can copy and paste this particular visual, and I will just add, let's say, the total sales right here, and I will also add the name of the product from the products table. So that is the name of the product, and that is added right here. If I expand that, now in quarter one, I'm taking a look at all the products. And the one product that got us $629 was Cash Flow Modeling Course, and those two things are also presented right here and presented right here. Seems like our visual is working just fine. All right, at this moment, if you take a look at the visual, it is fine. It's giving us the name of the product, but hey, Whenever we do not have any sales numbers, so in Q4 we don't have the data yet, and therefore we don't have any sales, and therefore we don't have any max sales, but we still see a name of a lot of products. This is because if you don't have any product and all the products are marked as 0, therefore all the products are going to be ranked as top 1. If you take a look at our measure, we have used the top 1 right here. In this particular measure, all the products are 1 because the sales of all the products are 0, and therefore all the products are concatenated in the top table. Well, we need to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that, hey, in the top end function, we're only going to place the products in case there is a sale, not the products which are blank sales. So I'm going to maybe go ahead and write a filter function. And I'm going to say that while you're evaluating the products table, please apply a filter on the products table and just say that if there is total sales or not. So you can write total sales not equal to blank, or just write total sales. Both of them work just equal. Now, at the moment, this is good. All I can do is I can commit to this particular measure. And if you just take a look at our visual back in here, you're going to see that the products which did not have a sale that were matching up to the 0th product, they all are eliminated, and we have a clean visual right here. At this stage, you might be interested to take a look at maybe 2 products, not 1, but 2 products. Let me just take a look at 2 products which were the top product. So what I can do is I can go back to my top product calculation, and instead of writing that 1 instead right here, I can write that, hey, why don't you show me not 1 but 2 products? If I commit to this particular measure, you're going to see that my pivot table updates, and I can take a look at the name of 2 products, which is not very friendly in terms of look and feel, but hey, we do have 2 products. So the first product was cash flow modeling course, that I can see it right here, and the second product was obviously this product, but they are concatenated, like literally concatenated. So how do we separate them out? One way is to put in a comma, but then if there are like 3 or 5 products, then this, is going to be like a bad scroll left and right. I don't really want that. So I would want the products to show up in the rows. The first product, then the second product, then the third product, so on and so forth. So how do we do such a thing? I'm going to go back to my top product calculation. And in the calculation, I'm going to say that, hey, after you have done your concatenation, you have gone inside this top table, which is created right here, which is just having 2 rows of data. You're concatenating the name of the product. Good. But I also want you to have a delimiter. So if you put in a comma, you can see that there is another one optional parameter called the delimiter. Now, what would be our delimiter? We don't really want a comma. We want an enter. How do we write an enter? We can write a character called unicharacter 10, and the unicharacter 10 is synonymous to writing an enter. So now I literally can't write an enter here, so I just write unicharacter 10. Click on OK, and now if you take a look at the visual, our visual has spilled into 2 rows of data, and therefore that's my first product, and that is my second product. This is awesome. If you're enjoying this video so far, I'd like to give a big shout out about my courses on Power BI, especially DAX, modeling, and the M language. I teach them in a very, very structured way. I try to give you the logic of understanding the problem, deconstructing the problem, and then framing the solution of the problem. That logic helps you to understand the problem at hand that we are doing in the course. Not only that, but you can then take the logic and apply it to your own cases as well, which is going to tremendously boost your confidence of solving your own data problems. Hundreds of students have joined my courses and they have benefited a lot. In case you're interested, the link is down in the description. Go back to the video. At this stage, if you take a look at our visual, which is work in progress, you're going to see that we have year, quarter, total sales of the entire month, and we are showing top 2 products for that particular quarter. Now, obviously, I do take a look at the top 2 products, but I don't get to say the sales of those top 2 products. So how do we also not only show the name, but also the sales of those top 2 products? We need to further enhance the quality of our concatenation. So I'm going to go back to my top product measure, and I'm going to say that at the moment, hey, there are 3 parts to the concatenatex function. The first part is work with this particular table, concatenate the name of the product, which is also coming from this table, and then use the delimiter as an enter. Now, alongside the name of the product, I want to maybe have a pipe symbol, and then here is where I would like to display what is the sales value. So that part of the formula is derived by this particular calculation, and I can say something like, hey, in this calculation, I want to concatenate a pipe symbol as well, which is a space at the start, a space at the end, and alongside, I want to calculate my total sales as well. So I will concatenate my total sales. If I do that, if I now click on OK, you're going to see that not only do I see the name of the product, but I also get to see the sales of that product. Now, at times the sales could be formatted or not formatted and things like that. Maybe I'd like to format that as a comma, 1 decimal or no decimal places. Let's just do all of that as well. So the sales is not going to be concatenated, but it will be concatenated in a formatted way. So I can use the format function right here, and I'm going to say that, hey, format the total sales in, let's say, a no decimal comma format. So a hash sign, comma, a hash sign, put that in the quotation marks and close the bracket in the end, and this will hopefully do the job well. If I click on OK, you can see that the decimal points are gone and we have this. Now, if you would want to have a dollar as well, so you can add a dollar as well, and this is going to add a dollar sign at the start as well. So now we are taking a look at the name of the product, we are taking a look at the sales of that particular product, and that is awesome. If you're a keen observer and you pay attention to details, this visual is not yet right. Why? If you take a look at it, obviously the first product shown here is the practical modeling course, which is $479, which was the best selling product, and cash flow modeling course, which is $629, which was also the best selling product. But hey, the order is important. So I want the top selling product to be on order number 1 and this one to be on order number 2. How do we change the order of that? Well, there is more options in CONCATENATEX. So let's just go back to CONCATENATEX and start feeding our fourth parameter. So far we have fed the first parameter, the second parameter, the third parameter, which is our delimiter. If I put in a comma, I will see more parameters that I can enter. It says order by expression. That means what should be the order of concatenation? The order of concatenation is going to be decided by how much sales have you made. So I'm going to say that the total sales is the order of concatenation. And then it says, how would you like to arrange? Would you like to arrange it in the ascending order or descending order? I'm going to say descending order. Now, if I click on OK, you're going to see that the order flips and the top selling product comes up on the top and the second best, the first best, the second best, so on and so forth. There's one more thing that I really want to add, which is nothing but the total. So if I can see the two products right here, the first product and the second product, I obviously want to know that what is the total sales of both the product right here in this very calculation. So not only I want to see the individual product and the sales, but I also want to see that howsoever many products are here, I want to take a look at what's the total. How do we do that? Well, that's not too hard, but let's just give an attempt. So if you take a look at our calculation at the moment, the logic goes something like this. I'm going to say that, hey, I'm trying to go ahead and add the total for this value and for this value. So if I just go ahead and add a total at CONCATENATEX, so after you have finished concatenating the values, after these two values have been concatenated, in the end right here, I want to calculate the total. So if you just write and percent, and then if you write total sales right here, let's just see what happens. I'm just going to maybe also add a little pipe symbol so that I can really tell where the total is coming. So if you just do that, total and total sales, what is the mistake right here? And I just forgot the and symbol right here. And I think that should be good. So if I just click on OK, you're going to see that it actually shows you the total right here. But this total is not the total of the two products. This total is the total sales of the month. So we're not really getting the right total. Well, the total is going to be only for the top two rows of this particular top table. It's not going to be for the entire month like here. It's only going to be for the top two rows. And I'm going to revise my calculation. So I'm going to say something like, hey, this particular total is not going to be like a vanilla total. It's only going to be for the top two rows, which is something that we have already calculated once right here. So I'm going to say that, hey, I want to calculate total sales, but that's not going to be for the entire data. It's only going to be for the rows that I've exclusively filtered out in the top table. So I can just pass in that filter to the top table, close the bracket and press enter. And you're going to see that now we see the right total. So 629, 479, if you total that up, it's going to be about $1,100. That's awesome. Now, it doesn't seem right. It's like looking bad. So let's just format that a bit. So I'm just going to go back right here. And the way that I would like to format this is that, hey, I want to have the first product. I want to have the second product. I want to have like a line here. And then I want to write what's the total right here. So let's just do that. I'm going to go ahead and start to create that line. So the line is going to be in the next row. So I'm going to say, hey, there is going to be a unicharacter 10 again. So unicharacter 10, and that is going to move to the next row. If I just put the and symbol and just write a bit of dashes, let's just see what do we get. Press enter. Now you can see that the total shows up right here. Now I want the total to be in the next row. So I can just write the unicharacter once again, and I can just write unicharacter 10 and then write the and symbol and then press enter. Let's just see what happens. Now the total has moved to the next row. There happens to be one enter here and there happens to be one enter here. Therefore, we have two unicharacters. Once we have that, we can also label that, right? So I can say this is nothing but my total. So TOTAL at the end, and I can attach an and symbol and also format this particular calculation, which is my top two rows total calculation. And I can say that this is also going to be the same format as this. So I can just copy that, Control C, and I can just paste that right here, and I can close the bracket and press enter. Let's just see how do we get. Now, this is pretty good. The only thing is that I just need to give it a bit of space right here, and that is going to be okay. All right, that's my total. So let's just take a look at the calculation. We are taking a look at obviously the 2 best selling products, and we are also taking a look at the totals of that. That is awesome. The one thing that I would like to do is that I would like to make this calculation dynamic. What do I mean by that? Take a look. So at the moment, if I take a look at my top product calculation, I am fixated to the 2 here. That means it's always going to show me top 2 products. If I want to change that to obviously 3, I'll have to come back in here and change that number to 3. How can I make this dynamic and give the control to the user that you decide how many products do you want to take a look at, and that's the number of products that you're going to take a look at in the visual? Well, for that we need to build a disconnected table. So let's just do that. I'm going to go over to the data, and I'm going to go over to the table tools, and I'll make a new table. In the new table, I'll just feed in 5 values because maybe I just want to show top 5 products. That's what my limit is. So I can say my top product values, and I can just write 5 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Close the bracket, press enter, and that creates a table right here. Now using this particular table, I can make a slicer, and let's just do that. I can go over to my visual and I can make an empty slicer. So that's my slicer. And in the slicer, I can just feed that value right here. Now I have this slicer, but I don't like this type of slicer. I just want to have a drop down slicer. So I can just maybe click on the slicer, go back to the format of the slicer. In the slicer settings, I can say this is going to be a drop down slicer, which I can stick it right here, or this can also be like a tile slicer. And that is nothing but my slicer, which is looking good. Now at the moment, if I happen to click on the slicer 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, nothing happens to my visual, because at the moment this number 4 is not feeding into my calculation, and my calculation is still dependent on that manual 2 that I wrote here. So that 4 which was there on the slicer, this particular 4 needs to come in and change this number 2. How do we do that? I'm going to write a simple function that is going to be like the top value selected. So if I just maybe click on the sales table and make a new measure, I'm going to say that what is my top value selected, and that is going to be the selected value function of the value column of the top values table, which is this particular column of the table that we have created. Press enter. Now this function is just going to pick up whatever value is selected. Now in case the user acts smart and he selects 2 values, now we have 2 values selected, and you can't really have 2 and 3 products shown both, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make an alternative value here. So if any 1 value is selected, then show that value. But in case there are 2 values or no value selected, then at least show 1 best selling product. That's what we're saying. Now, if you drag this calculation over to the visual right here, you're going to see that you can just change that to a card visual, and you can see that we get 1 right here. Because at the moment 2 values are selected, so therefore it shows you 1. But if I happen to just select, let's say, only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, you can actually see that number being reflected. Now this number, which is being captured off the slicer, is going to start to affect my calculation. So I can just go back here, my top product, and I can say that this is not going to be 2, but this is going to be the measure that I just wrote, which is top value selected, which is connected to my slicer. Nice and easy. I can just put that right here, commit on my measure, and if I just come back, you can see that obviously we have 4 products selected, and the total obviously is updated. This is so beautiful. If I do change that to just 2 products, 1 product, 3 product, that is so awesome. All right, the final part, how do we use this effectively in our visualizations? Now, one way is that you can obviously make this sort of like a visual which concatenates a bunch of text, and you can present that, but this is going to look very, very dense if you're trying to put that in a pivot table or in a table. And as an alternative, what you can also do is use this very effectively in your chart visualizations, especially line charts or bar charts. So take a look at on the second page, I have built a line chart here, and on the axis, I can take a look at all the months of the sales right here. So this is showing me the trend of how the sales is moving. Now in this line chart, in the tooltip of the line chart, so if I just open up the tooltip right here, in the tooltip, I can add my top product calculation, which is right here. Click on OK. Now it doesn't really burden the visual with a lot of information, but if you just happen to hover on any particular month, you can see that this is the sales of the month. These are the top 3 products, and this is the total of that product. Obviously, you can beef it up and you can make it look even more nicer and things like that. You understand the formatting elements, but this is one way to definitely to present that. What you can also do is you can also make that as a simple table visual, standalone, not a part of any other table. So for instance, if you just go ahead and take that top product calculation, and if I just happen to just create like a table visual out of that, so this is my table, and I can take a look at this table. Now this alone can be formatted, made it big, or added icons and things like that. If you happen to perhaps click on any particular month or any particular other slicer or a product or any other value coming from any other dimension table, this is also going to get filtered, and this is not a bad way of presenting a few top calculations as well.